Okay, everybody, let's get into the STM and the AM. Okay, so we're going to first address STM, soft tissue manipulation. I label these movements, these two labels myself. I just wanted it to be very simple and to the point for everybody so they understand the movements that are in the STM, soft tissue manipulation, are literally softening and manipulating the tissue. So it's soft tissue that are manipulating. Okay, so we're manipulating soft tissue. We're focused on softening that tissue, getting some movement in there when we're actually addressing that soft tissue, and really trying to loosen it up and unravel it and kind of get it to release in certain areas over time and with repetition and the rounds that we use in the workouts, we will be able to get some improvements each time. So especially when you're in the beginning phases of the weeks and the daily workouts, you're going to get some improvements. You may get a lot of improvements. It really depends on the person. It depends how you're concentrating. It depends how effective that you are actually utilizing the coaching that I provide, and that you're following the coaching effectively and thoroughly, that you're listening to the fine details that I'm providing, and that you carry those throughout each week of the program. Okay. And then when you kind of get more of a diversity into your workouts, when you get used to them, you still have to carry over some of those. You may be following the weeks a little differently once you get confident in the movements, but you still have to follow the basics and the foundations of what I'm providing you, and the sinking in of the mindset and the psyche, the mental aspect, being aware of your emotions, the spiritual side, that surfaces through some of these movements, because in a lot of these movements you're holding a lot of emotions that you may get releases in, not only in your soft tissue but in your emotions and your feelings, and spiritually you might have these connections going on. I've heard it. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. It happens. Okay. So when we're dealing with soft tissue manipulation, and which in the program it's called STM. Okay. So when we go down in here, it's always going to be the first movement. It's always going to be the first movement, because why? Because we literally are softening the tissue first before we elongate it. Okay. We don't want to go in there and start beating up tissue on a movement, and stretching and resorting to doing these crazy movements and stretches when a lot of people would ask me, like, what stretches can I do? I'm like, I wouldn't stretch. I would actually work on softening the tissue first before you actually try to do something to stretch or lengthen the tissue. Okay, so what we're doing is we're focusing on the STM here. The adductor rollout is that we're focusing on a specific area. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is that it's not just acting like a madman and going crazy. That's what the coaching is for. It's to actually slow you down, step you through the process, get you to visualize stuff, get you to visualize the steps and the process and the movements, and to visualize your own body. Get connected with your own body. And that's why this is such a process. That's why there's 6 weeks to these. That's why there's 12 weeks, because there's 2 programs in one in the LA Marathoner. So that's why that one's longer and it's extensive, but it's for people who have some in-depth training, and also some people that want a little extra more movement. So there's more movements in that one, but it really, anybody can use these, but you have to be ready to be to go through the process on a weekly basis and not just go through the motion. And you're not, I have people that have said, I just want a quick fix. I want that fast fix. You're not going to get a quick fix when you're dealing with it effectively and thoroughly. And when I'm trying to help you grasp this mentally, intellectually, and gain more knowledge, that you can carry on through the rest of your life, through the rest of your training, whatever you're doing. You carry it on to your children, your husband, your wife, whoever, your siblings, whoever it is, but you can carry on this knowledge and have this base to work off of from here on. Okay, so when we get to after we do the STM, the soft tissue manipulation, then you see that we go into the AM. Now remember, you're going to work on both. If there's this that day specifies both sides, we're going to have to do both sides. So you're going to have to watch both demos. Okay, don't skip a demo because I have additional information. But these demos for the STM and AM, they carry over. They're the same demos in all 6 weeks in each program, except for the LA Marathoner. There's 12 weeks and there's 2 programs. So you got to watch those demos the first 2 weeks, and then you can keep watching the demos of the same ones, but you just got to, you just know that they're the same ones after the first 2 weeks. Okay. But they're right there every week. So you can just look at them. It just gives you another opportunity instead of having to go back up, and you can stay right into that week. Okay. So AM is the active movement. Can't get any more specific than that. Okay. Active movement. It is an active movement. I don't know what I had a hard time with this one because I'm like, well, movements are active, but I don't know. Maybe brain activity, we may think there's no movement in brain activity, but you know what? There is brain activity or there is movement in brain activity. Yeah. So anyways, so active movement literally is you're actively moving and actively, but it's more about actively moving the tissue. Okay, and you're lengthening the tissue after you've rolled it out with the soft tissue manipulation. So you rolled it out with the STM, and now you're going to the AM, and now you're gonna lengthen the tissue. So you went over here and you're just unraveling everything. You're having movement in that as well, and then you go here to the AM, and now you're lengthening things. You're going to lengthen the tissue. You're going to increase your range of motion. You're decreasing pain at the same time. You're addressing pain at the same time. So it can be somewhat a little painful on each of these ones, but on each of these areas, the STM and AM. But at the same time, you're actually improving yourself because the end result of that day is you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better. You're going to move better. You may sleep better. You may you may actually just wake up the next morning feeling refreshed. It just really depends. Maybe you had a rough night of sleep, and then you go and do this in the morning, and it wakes you up, and your body feels good knowing that you have to train again. So it really just pretends. I'll get into all that part later, but in a tutorial about how to use the programs to strategize and kind of to your advantage. Okay, so that's about it. So you got your soft tissue manipulation and active movement, STM, AM. All right, keep that in mind. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram and of course YouTube, which is you're right here. All right, thank you.